All right, guys. Sorry, the intro tapped out. Technical difficulties on that one. I apologize. But we are starting, and we'll just move on. We'll do it live. So apologies for that. But thanks for tuning in to the Watercraft Journal IRL podcast. I am your host, the editor-in-chief of the Watercraft Journal magazine. My name is Kevin Shaw. Thanks for tuning in. We are pretty much going to have this one be the last of the year. I don't think I'm doing one on the 30th. I really don't think a lot of folks are going to tune in unless you guys really want to do a one on the 30th. I'm actually surprised. No, I will not be able to do it on the 30th. This will be the last one. I have someone coming out of town to buy a car that I've had for sale for a while, and it is going. So I'm going to be busy with that. Anyway, so this is going to be the last one for 2024. We're going into 2025. So hopefully we could do that with some with a little bit of an upbeat tone. I think we got some good news coming out. I think we have some stuff to look forward to. Primarily lower gas prices and actually having the dollar bill worth a damn anymore. That'd be good. But today we are going over a couple articles that went live on two pretty dominant websites. And to do that, we are going to bring in the owner and editor of my number one competitor who used to work for me and then took everything I taught him and no, I'm joking. But everyone, we want to welcome Joshua Dowling all the way from Australia. Joshua, tell the folks what time it is where you are.
It is midday, Christmas Eve. It's summer. It's 35 degrees Celsius. It's getting close to 90 to 100 degrees Fahrenheit. It's the opposite of what you think of a US summer. US Christmas season. So everyone's heading to the beach, and it's peak season for jet skis down here.
That is awesome. I love it. I love when we're able to collaborate and it's like, greetings from the future. So anyway, we have to talk about, there's no reason to flower this. I'm not going to dance around. I'm not going to dance around the garden here. Kawasaki 2 weeks ago decided to roll out, weirdly, they decided to roll out not just a new unit for 2026, but then at the same time, they rolled out some other units with zero official announcement. And I'm going to give a little bit of backstory before I have you jump in, because Joshua is the reason that I was able to put the coal on the fire and get the Watercraft Journal up and fired up. Because you were man on the ground and you were very quick to kind of break the news on this. But let me back up just a hair, and because we got to talk about the official announcement first. Is that okay?
Sure, absolutely.
All right. So let's bring up any minute now. All right. Arash, thank you for the super chat, and Happy New Year to you, and Merry Christmas to everyone in the chat. For those who celebrate Christmas, Merry Christmas to all of you. Thank you for the super chat, and gentlemen and ladies, for the 2% of our viewership that is female. If you do have a super chat, please go ahead and submit that super chat. We'll try to get to them. If they're on topic, we'll bring them in the conversation. If they're a little bit off topic, we'll get to them at the end, but you won't be forgotten. We will go over all super chats. So if you have questions, comments, whatever you want to ask, you can ask me or Joshua anything you want about the industry, and we can happily answer that for you. But let's get on topic. So on February the 6th, yes, it was February the 6th, right? No, it was the 13th. It was Friday the 13th.
December.
We get the present. What's that?
December, yeah.
Yeah, December of this month, yes.
Yeah.
We get the announcement that Kawasaki is rolling out a fixed steer version of the Superjet. Oh my goodness, of the jet ski. Sorry, Cowie guys, I apologize. All right, now this one was something that had been kind of how do I turn this off? All right. I'm literally deleting messages on this because I cannot stand people texting me in the middle of a podcast. Unreal. And it's the one guy who texts me. He texts like a 15-year-old girl. It is just
anyway. How many pages is it? That's the test.
Oh no, it's millions of short ones. Single sentence. Okay. Brrr, machine gun fire. With pictures and video, and he's great. He writes for the other magazine. But it's like, dude, take it down a little bit. I need you at about 40%. So anyway, let's talk about what Kawasaki's calling the SXR. And the SXR, or they don't want to call it an X2. And it's difficult for me to like this. It's really difficult for me to like this. And I'm coming in very jaded. And I know I am, and I shouldn't. I should be neutral. But I'm not. And I'm just being very honest about it. So, must have been July or August of 2019, I go out to ride no, it's 2020. It's 2020. We go out to Nevada, and we go ride the new 21s, the new redesigned Ultras. They got the X, they've got the LX, they've got the LXS. Going to spend a whole day there. And we're at dinner the night before, and I'm sitting across from Minoru Kanamori. And I've known Kanamori for years. Kanamori's sitting there, and he's drinking beer, and he's like, Kevin, what do you say about new X2? I go, new X2? And he goes, yes. What do you think about new X2? And I go, you'll sell maybe as many SXRs as you do right now. And in 2020, they were selling about 350 a year. And I don't think they've changed much. Maybe it's less than 300 a year. And no, very popular. Lots of people like X2. And I go, I don't know who you're talking to, buddy, but pretty sure you're not going to see a big explosion of X2 riders. So I was very negative about it. And plus, it didn't fulfill any sort of market demand. So I kind of took that leak, that hint, put it on the back burner. And people ask me here in the chat, what do you think is going to happen? I'm like, if they do it, it's going to be half-assed. If they do it, it's not going to have a seat. If they do it, I just had negative feelings towards it. And then it comes out, and it's everything I said it was going to be, which was identical to an SXR 160 with a new hood with fixed steering. And I was like, lo and behold, it's no different. And the problem is that right now, the SXR goes for $12,000 American. Do you know now? Are SXRs coming to Australia?
Yeah, they're about, I need to check, but around 15,000, 16,000 US. The Superjet Yamaha is a little cheaper.
Okay. Now, here's the hard pill for me to swallow. That ski is a parts bin ski. The SXR and the SXX are parts bin skis. There is very little new parts that needed new fabrication and new tooling that they have to recoup. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It's not like, hey, listen, we invested, $750,000 into a new hull mold. You know, a mold is about $350,000 to $500,000. And it's like, oh, it's this whole new thing, and we've got to recoup our money, so it's going to be $12,000.
I just want to know how on earth you ride the SXX. If you can't stand on it, what happens to your knees? If you can't adjust the steering, how on earth do you ride that thing?
Well, I literally joked in the video that we published, and this isn't very nice, and I wasn't trying to be negative. I really wasn't trying to be harsh about it. But I said in this paragraph right here, I go, in the official video, Kawasaki features both Kanamori and his daughter Mo. And Mo is a tremendous athlete on her own. All right. And both are very lean athletes. And in Mo's case, she's very petite. Mo is maybe 5'1".
Right.
Maybe.
Yeah.
All right. Her dad towers over her, and he is, with thick-soled shoes, just a hair under 5'9".
Okay.
They are very short, very lean Japanese people. And to look at Kanamori riding this thing, he is putting it on its rail. He is tucked down deep. He's at full arm spread at 5'9", and I'm rounding up. So any gringo above 6 foot, all right, is going to be a grizzly bear over this thing. And I'm talking to anyone who will listen to me, and I'm like, guys, who is this for? It's not targeting the Spark or the Jet Blaster. It's not targeting. I mean, are you going for the buoy course racer?
Yeah, it's a niche within a niche, right?
Yeah. And the feedback I got, because I asked a bunch of old school stand-up guys. I just blatantly asked a bunch of old school stand-up guys, many who have been on this show. And I go, please make sense of this thing. And besides the criticism coming in, because they're like, they built this, and that's the words from some unnamed racers and unnamed stand-up writers, is that the X2 is legendary in Japan.
Right.
The X2 has a very deep history in Japan. And I laugh because I said, so that would kind of would that be similar to Honda reintroducing the ATC to a bunch of graybeards like me? And they go, yeah, probably. It's like, no one wants an ATC. It's a three-wheeler. Everyone broke their legs and got hurt. But I'm nostalgic for the ATC because I grew up on those.
Yeah. On the one hand, though, you kind of got to admire their courage for really going for it. You know, you've often criticized the jet ski manufacturers, the watercraft manufacturers, for not getting into some of this hardcore stuff. And so on the one hand, I really admire and respect Kawasaki's courage to head into this space, but I also wonder if that's really the path to grow their volume.
That is, I will give you that 100%. I'll give you that 100%. I've been incredibly critical. I've been incredibly critical. And in fact, what's funny is that I do feel that this is a little bit of wish fulfillment, but it's the monkey's paw. Like, I granted your wish, but it's not the result you wanted. And my wish was that I desperately wish the Kawasaki would mine a lot of its heritage, a lot of its brand equity. I was like, guys, you have this miles deep brand equity. You have guys who bleed green, but there's not product there that's reflective of what people are buying. And they go, oh, okay, X2. And you're like, no. And to that effect, I mean, I'll tell you, did you catch the podcast that I did with Joe Hill from Classic Jet Skis?
I did not. I'm sorry.
Okay, that's okay. Don't apologize. I wouldn't listen to me either. But
I listen to you when I'm driving somewhere. I put it on in the background.
because I'm long-winded.
Great way to get all the intel for the week.
But I will say was that Joe and I were very critical of Yamaha in not wholeheartedly embracing calling it the Wave Blaster.
Mm.
And it's like, we know it's not a B1. We know it's not. And we know it's it's entirely a unique thing. It's not an EX that's been slathered. But in calling it a Wave Blaster says we are proud of a name. And we're proud of our heritage. Now, I've caught wind that for whatever reason, there may be, and this is the first you guys are going to hear this, so pay attention. There may be something competitive coming out of Yamaha to the SXX with the name Jammer or Raider in it. Wave Raider, Wave Jammer, anyone? You remember those names? Wave Jammer is a lot older, but Wave Raider was one of them.
Tell me they're going to put the 1.9 in it, the 1.9 liter.
I think it's, if anything, I can't imagine a new hull.
Yeah.
I anticipate a fixed steer Superjet.
Okay. Watch this space.
What's that?
Watch this space.
We'll see. I'm not on the ends with Yamaha much anymore, so I get it through lots of little cracks in the dam. But there's going to be something really, there's going to be two skis coming out of Yamaha that are going to be really weird. There's going to be the open bow fishing boat that we've talked about, the open bow fishing wave runner. That's almost a center console wave runner. And it's going to be big. They're all saying it. It's like, it's going to be big. It's just going to be a big, fat, open fishing, open concept center console wave runner that there'll be an open bow. You can walk all the way around it. All right. I don't know what the heck they're going to call the damn thing, but
I've got a clue.
Yeah.
For the third year in a row in Australia, Yamaha Australia has launched the Jet Fish. Now, I know at the moment that's an accessory package bundled up into one deal for the FXHO. And in fact, for 2025, we're going to get it labeled up and it's in Jet Fish decals, and also it'll get a unique color scheme for Australia. So I just wonder if that was a placeholder for a possible Jetfish name or even a whole new Jetfish brand. Maybe you can have a Jetfish FXHO and you've got this main center console watercraft.
The Jetfish Pro and the Jetfish HO or
potentially. We should be clear. We're guessing here, right? We've seen.
Absolutely.
That you published. It's clear that Yamaha has recognized the fishing market. We've got Sea-Doo now with 5 Fish Pro models. So there's clearly a market there. I don't know what it's like in the US. In Australia, the fishing jet ski market is booming. It's a good portion of Sea-Doo sales. It's an increasing portion of Yamaha sales. And now Kawasaki is going to be in on the action with the Angler from 2025.
Right. And that goes back to, I think, our topic. I know we got diverted. And if you guys want us to talk more about Yamaha speculation, we can do that. We can dovetail that at the end and make sure you throw in a super chat so I'll remember. Otherwise, I'll forget. But let's talk about the introduction of the Angler, because the Angler was a 25 model that was teased in February
Yeah,
of 24.
Yeah.
And that again is really weird for any watercraft manufacturer to tease or introduce a next year unit ahead of the main sales hump for the US.
I see your point though, but in the case of the Kawasaki Ultra Angler Edition, there's nothing for Kawasaki to lose by announcing it a full 12 months in advance of showroom arrivals, because it's not going to put a dent on anything Kawasaki has in its current showroom. And it might, I'm guessing Kawasaki was hoping that, hey, you're looking at a Fish Pro, you're looking at a Yamaha Jetfish, just pump the brakes in a year or so. Kawasaki is going to have an option, because there are jet ski fishermen, fisherwomen, fish people in Australia who do run Kawasaki's with kind of homemade setup. So I wonder if that was a part of the thinking to get the news out there and say, hey, we're going to be in the game. Just give us 12 months. I don't know.
My speculation, especially given the last 2 weeks, and I'm going to be real honest, Joshua, and I'm not trying to be, well, I'm going to be, but I'm not intending to be harsh. But I think whoever is at the helm of their strategy is either drunk or wholly ill-equipped for what they're and trying to do. I wonder if it's a way to drum up anticipation and just say, oh, we have something fresh. Oh, it's not the same stale stuff.
Yeah.
And that is really hard. That's a really hard thing for me to swallow. And so the SXX, although being introduced in the middle of December, is a 26 model.
Yeah.
And so it won't be available until third quarter of the calendar year. So at minimum, we're talking 7 to 8 months.
Sure.
And it's like, okay, so they're going to tease this unit so far in advance. And we should probably talk about the rollout, because I got the email with the press packet in my inbox when I was at the PRI, Performance Racing Industry Trade Show in Indianapolis on Friday the 13th. And I was like, I can't do anything with this until Sunday. So I just kind of stowed it. And everyone's like, oh, why have you just said so? I'm like, I'm not working on the weekends. I'm busy. You'll see what our response is on that Monday. But you having a different schedule, you're able to kind of get ahead of things.
Yeah.
So, well, I was going to tee up to you that I know I've been doing a lot of talking and I'm going to shut up. But not only did they send out a press packet, but they actually materialized the unit for people to look at. Now, where's this picture at?
Okay, so go back a couple steps. So there was the Jet Ski World Cup in Thailand as opposed to the Jet Ski World Finals, similar name but different events. And that event ran over the weekend in and around December 13, Friday, December 13. And in fact, Kawasaki had a hospitality area. Now, Kawasaki has taken exception to us calling it a tent, but I looked up the dictionary definition of a tent. It is a temporary structure with a roof, and that's certainly what that was. It might have been a gazebo, a hospitality area, whatever you want to call it. It was a temporary structure on or next to the beach.
Did you get a complaint from someone saying, don't say tent?
I did.
No.
Yeah, for real. And I even went to the trouble of sharing the photos of what it looked like. It looked like a hospitality area. So in any case, Kawasaki's got a big display on there under a cover, don't call it a tent, under some kind of shelter from the sun. And they had the SXX that you've got on your screen there. They also had the 25 edition of the STX 160 and the 26. And I can see you want to jump in here.
I just wanted to ask who, because he was special, who was physically there to introduce the SXX.
Oh, the global boss of Kawasaki Motors division globally. So that's a big deal. So Kawasaki clearly felt that it was a big. Pardon me?
I'm trying. Hiroshi Ito, President Ito.
Ito-san. And that's a big deal. I mean, in Japanese culture, these guys are considered to be gods of their industry and certainly gods within their own companies. And so, to have someone of that high caliber attend that event, as well as the chief engineer for the SXX, I mean, this is a big deal. I guess what's frustrating as keen industry observers as we are is that Kawasaki had not only the SXX stand-up on display, or the fixed steering stand-up, they also had the 25 color scheme for the STX 160, and as you got there, the 2026 color scheme. But here's the rub. No one noticed it. Those craft were in that gazebo, in that hospitality area for 4 days, and no one noticed until on day 3, someone wandered through there with a phone and did a walk around video, which is where some of these initial images came from. And under the one of the world's biggest jet ski events for the racing community, it was right under their noses, and no one spotted it. And I think that tells you everything you need to know. On the one hand, Kawasaki should be congratulated for giving the racing sector such an important announcement, the privilege of having such an important announcement. But all you need to know is no one there spotted it. No one there knew what a big deal it was. And I think that tells you everything you need to know about why Kawasaki is in the position it's in, because they could have got so much more mileage out of these new models than just throwing them in a display area by the beach in Thailand.
Right. So, again, I think it's important to notice. Okay, so the STX 160 line, the STX is their recreation segment. This is GTI, VX. This is their recreation segment. It's one of the highest selling segments, okay, for Yamaha and Sea-Doo. These are very successful segments. And I just made a big point of it last week with Billy Duplessis, who is actually in the chat. Billy's here. Everyone give a toast to Billy. I just saw him come in. All right, so we got Billy in the chat. Okay, so last week, Billy and Greg Gaddis and I were talking about the top 3 for Watercraft of the Year. And the Sea-Doo GTR-X 300 came in at bronze place, came in 3rd place, all right, on the podium. I made a point, and it was funny because I got messages later because people had caught the podcast later. They came in, and one of the more interesting points was that the GTR, or the GTI for that matter, but the GTR-X 230 or the GTR 230 or the GTR-X 300 is the exact same length and weight as the 2008-2009 RX TX 255. And that was a full-size 3-seater at the time. Don't get me wrong, I realize it's an 18-year-old ski or 17-year-old ski. But when I make the announcement, or when I make it clear that Sea-Doo's recreational-sized intermediate performance machine is the same size as a generation ago's, a previous platform's full size, that should tell you how these things have ballooned. They've just ramped up in size and weight. So, anyways, let's get to the STXs. They introduce, and all right. Well, I'm here at Watercraft Zone because Joshua absolutely pounded the Watercraft Journal in the sand when it came to getting this content out. I was in pure reaction mode to everything that Josh was rolling out. He was just kicking my butt all the way down the street. So Josh picks up on the video, starts getting information, starts getting leaked pictures, puts up this article. All right. They've taken one of the 26s out on the water with a guy in full race trim. They've got 26s here. Here's another. That's the R. We're going to talk about the R. But the one that is kind of boring that a lot of people passed up, that was the 25 change. Now, what's funny is that you and I should already know all of this information about the 25s, and we should have had it published already on our publications, on our magazines.
Yeah. Yeah, and as your regular viewers would be aware, Yamaha and pseudo and others, and we both work in auto as well. It's very common for us to sign NDAs or there's a trust agreement, and we get access to material 24, 48 hours prior, sometimes even earlier, so we can prepare the stories, get the images up, get any questions in that we can, so that when the embargo lift occurs, we have really good detailed coverage. We can share it on social media, get the message out there rather than trying to piece it together on Facebook. And sadly, what Kawasaki, there's the tent back there. You scrolled past the tent.
Oh, don't say tent. It's a pavilion.
Yes, it's right. It's almost a building. But sadly, with this important new model, let's recap. The STX is Kawasaki's most affordable sit down. It's in the most competitive section of the jet ski market. It's the first really new shape we've seen since the changes to the Ultra. So this is a really clear sign that Kawasaki is getting serious and getting back in the game. But unfortunately, Kawasaki allowed this announcement to be shared on social media with some blurry photos and a couple of shaky videos. And it's like, come on, guys. I mean, I know the car companies do occasionally launch vehicles at Pebble Beach Concourse, for example. But at the same time, you will have the media go out and go, here's the snazzy photos. Here's all the detail, as well as having the public display show. So it's just a shame. They could have done both. At the end of the day, this is Kawasaki's prerogative. They can launch it however they see fit, and I totally respect that. And I guess you do too, Kevin. I guess where our frustration comes from is we were just so excited to get this news out. We just wish we could have shared more.
So after Josh publishes these pictures, I hit him up and I'm like, dude, I need everything you've got. And I start writing an article, and Joshua hits me and he goes, pump the brakes. I've got some official press stuff. I said, you did. And now, I don't know how much you can talk about this, because I'm going to segue over to my article with the orange.
Sure.
Because we're going to talk about the 25s first.
Sure.
Can we do that?
Yeah, let's cover the 25s because that's a worthwhile update, actually.
This red one is a 25. All right. So we're going to hop over to the 25s. So what were you able to dig up for me?
So the 25s, the big difference there is, and we've gone on about this for years, and apologies to any old school jet ski fans who don't have a problem with the old school reverse lever, but I find the old school reverse lever on the 160 pretty frustrating to use. But so this 160 is the same as today's 160, but gets a new hood cover and a new hood latch. And Kawasaki tried to say it's all about design and sleek appearance. Well, in fact, in Australia at least, I'm not sure what happened in the US, but we had two big recalls for the early versions of the STX 160 around 2020 to 2022 off memory. There was a couple of big recalls because the first fix actually didn't fix the fault, so they had to do it all over again, and the hood cover could fly off and, of course, injure the rider or any passengers.
Right. Yeah. Let me pull up, because you did a really good job. You pulled up a picture of, this is the current one. This is 23, 24.
Uh-huh.
And if you look, it's got that real kind of pronounced lip. Okay. And that lip, as water came over the nose or came over the bow, could catch, and with enough force could literally peel the whole hood off of, because this is just a decorative cover. And that decorative cover could peel right off and hit you right in the face.
Yeah.
So, especially if you're blasting through waves and you're really hammering through it, you're getting a lot of stress on this. It's kind of like an overbite. Just go. and the water is hitting that overbite.
Yeah, and as we both know, the STX does plow a little. It does bury its nose. It doesn't have.
I wouldn't say a little, but at low speeds it plows.
Yeah,
and excuse me, this new hood design. Let me go to the gallery here. Oh, see, I got the 26s in here too. So hold on, guys. Be patient with me. I didn't cue it up right. Okay, here we go.
Yeah.
Here's 25. If you notice this blue decorative is kind of a shield. And that is going to protect the foremost lip of the hood. So it's a kind of a splash shield, so to speak. All right. And if we look a little closer at the article, you can see that they've got the Ultra style, the big, nice locking hood mechanism, latching mechanism. So you just lean over and click, opens up the hood. Bob's your uncle, you're all set. Close the hood up, and it's got this nice blue decorative shield all the way around it. All right. I do give Kawasaki kudos for embracing traditional, bright, exciting jet ski colors. That doesn't sound like a big deal to people, but white and red and orange and blue and aqua and purple and all these things are incredibly well received by people. Question. Do you remember the first 4 colors that the Sea-Doo Spark was available in?
Oh, well, it looked like someone threw a tin of paint at it or several tins of paint at it. They had lots of graphics. I remember that much. I actually like where they ended up, which was a solid red and black and a solid blue and black and a solid yellow and black. But I honestly couldn't remember the first 4.
Okay. They had kind of a charcoal gray and black they called licorice.
Uh-huh.
They had white, which was vanilla. So you had black and white.
Uh-huh.
Then you had blue was for 15. That was bubblegum blue. They had yellow, which was their banana yellow. And then they had the single highest demand, fastest selling color was bubblegum pink.
Oh, wow.
You remember pink the first year?
Yeah.
And everyone made the joke about, and they had orange. They had an orange crush. They had an orange one.
That's right.
So maybe there was 5 colors. Everyone made fun of the pink one. Oh, Sea-Doo went pink. Woo! They sold every one of them. They sold every single pink one.
Yeah.
All the memes were about the pink one. All the jokes were about the pink one. They sold. There was not one pink one that sat on a lot. They all vanished. And I sit there and it's like, do purple now. And RX, hey, remember RXPX redesign in 21?
Yeah.
Purple. And everyone went, oh, dude, whatever, purple. Yeah. That ski sold like crazy.
And I know people who sell Sea-Doo who will start their conversation with a customer who walks in who's never owned a ski before, and he'll just ask them outright, what's your favorite color? Or what color's your car? And he'll start selling on color. And if that doesn't work, obviously, then he moves across to size. But it's incredible how important color is.
Right. And those high impact, really bright, really in your face colors, they scream summertime. They scream fun on the water and fun on the beach. And, you look at people who go bathing suit shopping and they get floral patterns, or they get some really wild stripe design, or it's about color and vibrancy. And don't get me wrong, I'm the number one culprit for saying I want an all black Yamaha, Darth Vader, rah, 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 rah. I know. I'm a hypocrite. But I'm saying these bright colors, see, there's graphite silver with yellow. Okay. But this thing, that's going to be, you can see, I can envision 6 of these lined up on the beach at a resort for rental.
Yeah.
Heartbeat.
For sure. Yeah. By the way, just going back to your black comment, obviously Yamaha and Sea-Doo have had a couple of black skis, and Kawasaki's had black as a mainstay of Ultra. But I've got to tell you, having owned a ski with black on it, the only time it looks good is the day you buy it and the day you sell it, because you've cleaned it. Everywhere in between, there's salt stains or spider web sort of scratches from cleaning.
Yeah.
So anyway.
No, 100%. I mean, yeah, the best it ever looked was the day you got it and the day you sell it, because you're sitting there with rubbing compound and polish, and you're like, I gotta get all these swirls out, and I gotta get all these watermarks off. Okay, so I give Kawasaki all the credit in the world for going ahead and making the corrections, and a good permanent correction to the 2025 STX. But while they soft introduced, because I realized retroactively that I'm like, I should have known about this redesign in October.
Sure, yeah.
A press release should have gone out in October saying, hey, we got some fun new colors, and here's the changes we made aesthetically. Oh, it's so stylish now. Okay. It gives something for the Watercraft Journal. It gives something for Watercraft Zone, Pro Rider, anyone else who covers this industry to talk about.
Yeah.
They dropped the ball on that. And all it is a press release and a handful of pictures. But they didn't do that. Then, to Joshua's point, let me go back to the page. In addition to rolling out these 3 new 2025s, underneath the pavilion,
the very professional looking pavilion. Yeah. Definitely not a tent. Yeah.
Tell us about the 26s.
Okay.
Now I'll tell you this.
Yeah.
You, and I'm talking over you, and I realize I'm being very rude.
Good.
No. This is a hell of a statement to make, and I can't even highlight this. You put these stupid blocks on your page. I can't even highlight the text.
Sorry.
There.
I'll give you special permission next time.
No. You say biggest change in 20 years. It puts Kawasaki back in the game. Why do you see the 26 STXs as being so important?
Well, it's the biggest change to the STX series in 20 years. We did have a tweak in 2020. I say that this puts Kawasaki back in their game because they've really effectively made the trickle down of technology from the Ultra to the STX. They've turned that into a flood. Sorry, that's a really tortured cliche, but they really have. This craft now has a lot of the tech we've seen on Ultra a couple of years ago. Why I say this puts Kawasaki back in the game, it shows they are not sitting on their hands. Admittedly, it's not an all-new model, but as we know, a great hull is a great hull. The water doesn't change, so I'm glad that Kawi stuck with this hull as they did stick with the Ultra hull, and they've kind of fixed everything else around it. So I say that this not only puts Kawi back in the game, it gives Sea-Doo and Yamaha some more competition, which they kind of need. Sea-Doo and Yamaha have been really running away with the market in Australia. I know it's not quite the case in the US, but in Australia, Kawasaki only has between 5% and sometimes it dips as low as 3% on some months. Whereas I think in the US, they're closer to 12% market share for Kawi.
Yeah, the highest they got was 11%, and that was not 24, but I want to say 22.
Yeah, and so the reason we talk about market share, and again in round numbers based on Australia, Sea-Doo has 70%. So seven out of 10 jet ski sales over the past few years has gone to Sea-Doo. So you got Yamaha clawing back lost ground. We've now got Kawasaki making a real statement of intent here, saying, you know what? We're not sitting on our hands. We're not leaving the jet ski market. We are here to stay. And these are the important changes we're making. And there's some really cool stuff on here that I hope, in fact, some of it makes its way across to the Ultra, like the extra dock tie points and those kind of features. So, look, I hope for the best for Kawi. It's great. Anything at all that puts pressure on Yamaha or Sea-Doo and gives consumers more choice has to be good for the consumer. Hopefully it puts a bit of price pressure on there as well. I love the GoPro mounting bars they've got, which is an ultra feature. I love the daytime running lights. I know the daytime running lights were seen as a bit gimmicky by some enthusiasts, but I think it's really good for water safety, and it also makes it really clear when these craft are heading towards you rather than speeding away. So yeah, look, it was partly a statement of hope, but I also think it's a fair statement to say in the headline, this is, although Kawasaki didn't say it, we're saying it for them. This is Kawasaki back in the game, because if they were going to leave the market, or if they were going to ignore the market and not invest anymore, we wouldn't see these changes, right?
Oh, absolutely. No, this is a sign of fidelity.
Yeah.
To now, obviously, I look at things in a manufacturing mindset. So I jokingly had made the comment about the cost of a mold. So if a mold is $250,000 or $350,000, well, they don't have to buy a mold for the hull, and believe it or not, the deck is no different.
Oh yeah,
the deck has not changed. To
so
my
it's just
understanding,
trimming. So
it is all of the fairings, the seating. It's everything on top of it. My understanding is, in looking at it, I do not believe that the deck has actually changed.
Oh wow.
I would have to look closer.
There's another mystery that would be great to solve, and I actually left it out of my coverage that you're scrolling through there. So in some of the material I saw, it was described as having a 158 millimeter pump, but we know that the STX 160 today has a 148, so 148. The Ultra 160 has a 155. So I wonder, was that a typo? And does the STX get a 155 off the Ultra, or was it just a typo? The 158 should have said 148. So that's a mystery we're yet to solve.
That's interesting. I did not catch on that.
Yeah,
because it should be a 148.
Correct.
Now wait a minute.
But it said 158 in the material, and I deliberately left it out because I just couldn't
155 because the supercharged Ultra is 160.
Okay, so maybe it's a typo, or maybe they have put a bigger pump on it, because we do know the top speed of the 160 horsepower carry, that's in the Ultra and the STX. And again, these skis aren't all about top speed. It's just one measurement of fun, but it's one of the slowest in the segment. I mean, I struggled to get 50 mile an hour or 80 kilometers an hour when we tested it. So again,
and this is going to add a lot more weight.
Correct, and potentially drag. So I want to be really clear. These skis are not high performance. Then it's not just about top speed, but it is a way we can measure what its capabilities are. And at the moment, it's the slowest in the segment. So let's see what the true number is for that jet pump once we know some more about the 26 model.
So, but we do know, we do know that the new 26s do have the Ultra engine management hardware and software,
including trim and the reverse trigger, which is fantastic.
Correct. Okay, so let's talk about what's coming on to the new STXs. Let's go down the list of technologies and features.
Sure.
You mentioned the running lights.
Yes.
You mentioned that they do have new tie-down dock cleats on the sides. One of the big things is that they're going to have the 7-inch TFT screen.
That's right. With the controller dial, it's not a touch screen, so only the Yami FXs have touch screen.
I said touch screen, didn't I? Sorry.
They do. Yeah, you're good. But it's still it's a nice looking display. And I know this is controversial, and in fact, Kevin, you and I may disagree on this one. But I actually don't mind the rear view camera. A couple of these models for 2026 on the STX will be available with the rear view camera, which is three of the four. It does not replace the need for a rear facing observer. But having tested it and lived with it, I actually can see its usefulness. It's just an opportunity to glance down and go, okay, they're still there.
Well, again, you and I talked about all the patents that, the big cache of patents that came pouring in. and understanding the role that the camera will play in the future.
Correct.
I kind of see it as like okay, well, can I retroactively update my 26 with the new 29 software?
Yeah.
Or whenever, 30 or whenever the hell it happens.
Yeah.
So let's talk about models. So there is the 160LX.
Yep.
160LX comes with jet sound, which is a 2-speaker, not 4.
Correct.
So it's Bluetooth jet sound. You have a waterproof case inside the glove box. You are getting the digital screen, color screen. I'm looking at the pictures. I'm wondering where the hell that jog dial is.
It's on the left of the handlebars. So if you're standing on the shaft facing forward, it's on your left. There should be an overhead shot there. I was about to point at my computer screen, but okay, that view, zoom right in, and you should see it on the top left, just under the left handlebar.
It won't let me double click on the pictures because the pictures are blocked out. Oh, there it is. Okay, you can see it right there.
Yeah, which I think is a better location for it actually than it is on the Ultra, because on the Ultra, it's on the center where the center console would be. So you don't have something immediately in front of you. So I think that's a really good solution.
Well, you do have your glove box. You still retain your glove box on the STX. You don't have the side fairings. So you have a center glove box. You do have a waterproof case with a phone charger in the LX. You're going to have jet sounds. You're going to have the reverse facing camera. Yep. And then now it actually gets to a really good super chat. These are going to be the first of the recreation line to have a deck extension.
Yeah. Yeah. Which opens them up to cooler box frames. You could deck this craft out for fishing. And so, yeah, that's definitely going to have some appeal. And it's the same accessories as the Ultra. So if you end up being a 2 jet ski family and you've got an Ultra on one side of the trailer and an STX on the other, you can mix and match the accessories that way too.
Right. I think you and I should take a stab at Stu's question. Stu writes, I have concerns about the extended decks on these STXs catching in turns more than the extended deck on the Ultra. Also seems more buoyant of a bow, which should reduce the common issue that is nose plowing at idle speeds. Your bond line is your bond line, and it's still above the bond line, but because you have trim now, I think your trim is going to be really your best tool for bringing the bow up. Yeah. But I do agree that you could really see some lift in a tight turn with a deck extension, especially on the rec platform, a recreation segment.
Yeah, what I would add to that is for low speed maneuverability, if you're worried about the rear deck extension banging into the dock or whatever, one of the advantages, of course, of the 26 is the reverse trigger. It's got the right-hand side reverse trigger. So low speed maneuverability should be a lot better with this ski than the current STX 160 we've got today.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, I'm really looking at the actual fiberglass deck, and I really do think it's the same deck.
Okay,
I really do think it's the same deck.
We would need to check that accent line where your cursor is on that image at the moment. There's an accent line. I can't recall whether that's there or if that's a shadow.
Well, let's look at an older unit.
Oh, yeah.
There's your line. It's rounded, though. Okay. Let's see. That has... Okay, let's look for... we're doing some sleuthing here. Okay, that's got the deck extension on it, so I want to find a unit without the deck extension.
Yeah, so maybe run down. There we go. Yeah.
Let's find a back shot. All right. Oh, guy. See, it's got that real deep accent line right there.
Well, nice. Yeah. See, that's a bigger recess, wouldn't you say, up to the rear deck? It's more steep from the footwell to the rear
Yeah.
deck.
Oh, you got me.
It's
You got me
close.
wondering now.
Yeah, let's see. I wasn't corrected when I called it a new top deck.
Okay.
But you know what? Anything's possible. You know, there's limited information. What we can also see in the rear photo just there is that there's a little horizontal bar that you can put a GoPro mount or an action camera mount rear facing. And I like how Kawasaki and pseudo have embraced that. Yamaha did it a little bit with the FX. You could put a bracket where the cup holder is, but I really think the best solution I've seen in regards to getting action cameras on these skis really easily and really safely is that brilliant accessory you get on the new Sea-Doo Spark and Spark Tricks. It is just a treat.
Yeah, the Nano.
Locations. Yeah, so clever.
Link Nano. Here's where I'm looking at the accent line that follows the fairing right here. And I'm looking here. And that, see, I'm seeing a crease, but I'm not seeing a carry.
Yeah.
So it very well may be a new deck.
Yeah.
Especially if they want to have, see the screw inputs.
Yeah. And also the hood cover, the new hood cover, the bigger fenders on the front. I don't know. We'll find.
I mean, this is all plastic. You know,
right.
Gobbledygook. This is all fair. You know, it's all screw-on fairing stuff.
Yeah.
But I wonder, line-wise, you know, I'm following this line. And I'm just wondering if all they had to do was just change up all the plastic fairings and plastics and stuff like that. I wonder. Because, hey, this was redesigned in 2020.
Yeah, you're right.
Why would 6 years later they would cough up the money to redesign it? They're too cheap. Cowie's too cheap.
Yeah. Well, especially when the last one went for 14 years. The Ultra went for 14 years before a big top deck change.
Yeah, it looks like the same deck to me.
Okay. We'll find out.
But again, hey, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong, and whoop-de-doo, it's Kevin's wrong again.
But you know what? Even if it is a heavily modified top deck, the key takeaway message for me with the 2026 Kawasaki STX 160 is all the technology they've put into this craft. Is clearly some of the material is clearly a placeholder for future developments, and we should just very briefly touch on some of these patents you talked about that Cowie's working on. The most important one for me is the GPS-based anchor or the GPS anchor. So that it needs some explaining, but basically you press, how I imagine it works, having both of us read the patent, you press a button somewhere on the craft, it remembers where it is via GPS, and it has a tiny electric motor that just keeps it in that position if you're in a gentle current or if it's bobbing around in the water while you've headed up to the beach to go and get a cold drink or some snacks. So I think a digital anchor system for any ski is an absolute game changer. You don't have to carry these big sand anchors anymore. You don't have to worry about it running out with the tide. You can actually give yourself a bit of leeway. And in fact, if they've got a GPS anchor, you could almost summon the craft to come towards you. If the tide's coming in and the ski's in too deep, you could get it to head towards you a meter or two.
Right. Now that would imply that you would have to have some sort of locator, either a wristband or something on your vest.
Yeah. We're making a lot of this stuff up right now, but I can kind of see the potential. So hopefully there's something along those lines coming.
No, I agree. I think we're a ways away from a lot of that technology to come to fruition. I think so much of it, and my understanding is so much with patent law and having to ask about patent law is a lot of times patents are renewed just to keep their competition from having something relative. Yeah. And it's kind of shady, but it is, welcome to lawyers. But to that effect, I do want to talk about the 4 units that we got to see that are the 26s. We
Yeah.
talked about the LX. I briefly shot over the LXS. LXS does not have sound, but it does have the reverse-facing camera, and it does have this new deck extension. This is your tow unit. All right. This would be your family, get an inner tube or a raft or something like that, tow the kids behind it. This would be a good tow unit. All right. It does have mirrors so you can see the kids. It does have the reverse-facing camera. It has the tow eye, blah, blah, blah. It's the LXS is their tow unit. All right. Then we scroll down and we get their not the entry, because there is no 160 that has these front fairings. The 160 is the red unit, is the red and white unit. It just is a plain Jane, does not have the nice big front shield on it.
Yeah.
But the 160X does have the new nice stylistic redesign. I wonder, because I'm looking at the posture of the handlebars, I wonder if those handlebars are tilt.
Yeah, good call. They didn't.
There was nothing in the press releases that we saw that were tilt.
No.
And I don't see anything that would indicate to me that there's a drop or an adjuster.
Yeah.
Of course, these are the only pictures they give you. But I think the big, I guess the punchline, we're already at an hour, but the one we got to talk about. Come on, hit it.
There we go. How cool. How cool is that?
All right. Tell me your thoughts.
Okay, so another great thing about this is we're talking about Kawasaki's intent here. They're I see this 160 rollout of the 26 models as saying, hey guys, just reminding you, we're here, we're still in the game. And so I see this as kind of somewhere between a Spark Trix and a VX, or a Spark Trix and a GTR 230. It's not going to have the performance of the GTR, but it's somewhere in the middle, because obviously there's no rear deck extension. It's 2-seat only, so they're trying to lean into the playfulness of that hull. It doesn't quite have the power. It won't do wheel stands. But you know what? I think this is going to be a fun ski, and I'm hoping it's an entry point in price, or close to an entry point in price with the 160X. Oh, you don't think so? You think it's going to be dear?
I wholly disagree with any mention of the Spark or the Blaster.
Oh yeah, you think it's too heavy and too big for that?
This is physically no different than the previous units we've been looking at.
Yeah. Well, yeah, the shorter,
width-wise, depth-wise, drag-wise, engine-wise. The sponsons are the damn same. The handlebars are a fixed neck. Like an R. This is R in name only, besides the slightly abbreviated bench seat. This looks fat and tall.
Yeah, but that kind of gives me the 2-seater Jet Blaster vibes and single-seater.
Yeah, but if I was to overlay, it would be, the Blaster would end right here.
Yeah.
I mean, it's 2 feet longer than a Blaster.
Yeah. I'm thinking how it's look in a showroom. You got a customer walking up to that, and they can kind of go, "Oh yeah, that's the small one for little Johnny." That'll do.
I can't board that train with you, man. That is this is a very tepid toe in the water of, hey guys, if we were to go after the VXHO or the GPHO, now that the HO makes 200 horse, and weighs 300 pounds less than this, but were we to go after the VXHO, what would you think? I mean, it
needs a bit more horsepower.
It's
Yeah.
it is such a half measure.
Yeah.
It is such a tepid. I'm not sure. Oh, guy, I'm gonna wring my hands, guys. We just don't want to upset anyone. It is so tepid and so milquetoast to dare put the R label on this, and for you ass clowns to go on social media and call it, they brought back the STXR. Ooh. It's like the electric charger. It's like Dodge's electric charger making farty sounds when it drives around. It can't even do a burnout. It is such a half measure.
So what about this? What about this? I think you make a valid point that does it deserve the R badge? But we know that certainly in the automotive industry, and we can also see it in the watercraft industry, the big manufacturers tend to do the deck and the hull and the electronics through one period of the model cycle because that's their engineering resources, that's their engineering budget. And then maybe what this model is waiting for, in fact, is another engine. So we know that 1.5 has been around a long while now. Yeah. We've both spoken about how this is now a great craft in search of an engine, both in the ultra
2-liter. I'm going to freak out.
Well, I don't know what it is, but they need to find a way to get some more grunt under that seat.
Well, or they go 1 liter, the 998 that makes 180 horse, naturally aspirated, and weighs about 88 pounds less or 89 pounds less or whatever the hell it is. So suddenly you're down 80, 90 pounds and you're up 20 horse.
Yeah.
Step in the right direction. Now, I'm sorry, for a naturally aspirated recreation segment, we're going naturally aspirated rec segment. GTI 170.
Yeah.
I mean,
it has a market.
The GTI SE 170 is the ski that I would probably buy for my wife to ride.
Yeah, it's like I love the VX 1050cc. I think that's a great craft. I just wish Yamaha would put trim on that VX TR1, and I think that'd be a real sweet ski.
Right. But Yamaha's got the 1.9 liter in the GP, lightweight, Nano 2, 200 horse, 1.9 liter.
Yeah.
If you want to step up to the plate, you got to bring a gun to a knife fight. And I'm sorry, but Yamaha is a freaking bare knuckle boxer. Just like, all right, Sonny Jim, let's go for it. I mean, dude, the only reason the GP 1.9 liter HO was not in Watercraft of the Year is because none of us got to ride one.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Well, that makes 3 of us.
No one got to ride one.
And look, I'll get one. I'll get on one in the next couple months, hopefully, or the next couple of weeks even. So everyone who's ridden it raves about it. And that amount of power in that size craft should be just a hoot.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Or I will say this, and this is the only thought that came to mind. Were, hypothetically, someone in the aftermarket, were they to figure out the proper way to put a turbo on a current 1.5 liter naturally aspirated?
Yeah.
Because I talked to Craig Warner. I was like, Craig, I really do want to rebuild your turbo boat. And I said, should I start with a X? Should I start with a 310X or a 300X or a 250X or what? And he's like, well, if you're going to run the he goes, if you're going to run the camshafts we ran, he goes, those were naturally aspirated. I said, was the motor any different? He goes, well, obviously it got better over time. I go, so you think I should start with a naturally aspirated motor? And he kind of laughed. He goes, yeah. So if the key to a turbo is the naturally aspirated camshafts, and someone were to figure out how to flash this thing, and I'm like, that ski's got a lot more real estate inside than finding a supercharged unit.
Yeah.
And someone had asked me, they're like, hey, do you think that'd be a candidate for the turbo motor? And I go, dude, hope springs eternal, but I have my doubts. They introduced a freaking X2 and they didn't have the balls to call it an X2.
Yeah, for me, you need a turnkey solution, right? I mean, there's definitely the modified jet ski market will always find a way to deliver more power, but I'm more in the headspace of turnkey solution off the showroom floor with warranty, and away you go.
Well, the problem is that we might be at an impasse with the manufacturers unwilling to let it all hang out. For example, I made the comment in the SXX video, as well as the article, and later on a Facebook post. I said, if Kawasaki truly wanted to affect change in the market, the SXX and the SXR, for that matter, need to be $7,500 to $8,000.
Yeah.
And Dustin Farthing chimed in. He goes, 100% agree.
Yeah.
And it's like, what would happen if currently Kawasaki said, okay, this thing is, $74.99 or $79.99, and it's an $8,000 entry. It's all parts bin. They've already made their money. It's literally, there's no tooling. It's all old tooling. It's a parts bin machine. So if they were willing to say, we're going to take a hit here, and we're gonna get a bunch of people who are scared of riding a stand-up with a net, with a handle pull, and have a fixed steer with an open tray, 160 horse, goes 60 miles an hour, and throw a bunch of 22-year-olds out in the water on this thing. I think you'd see. I honestly think you'd see an actual groundswell.
Yeah, good call. Well, so does that wrap us up for the year, Kevin? Thank you so much for your support throughout the year, as always. And I know we'll be able to do it again next year. Oh, there's a super chat. Here we go.
We got a super chat. I can kick you off if you want to leave. You got to go to the bathroom.
I might get kicked out of this room soon, but we got time. We're good.
Okay. Joey asks, what are the odds that the STX 160R has a different tune like the 170 has a different tune from the GTI 130? Highly, highly, highly doubtful.
Yeah.
Very doubtful. Yeah. Sponsons are the same, pumps the same, intakes the same, ride plates the same, impellers the same, motors the same, airbox is the same. You peel the skin off the top of that thing, it'd be the identical to every STX on the water.
Yeah. And the reason for that is, Joey, it's just, the reason these companies can make their money is by mass production and not making changes. But certainly in the automotive space and also in the watercraft space, you just turn a screw half a turn, and that's a whole new engineering program. They've got to go and retest it. So yeah, it's not as simple as it sounds. One of the biggest complaints is, why can't they just do this? Why can't they just do that? But it's mainly because they've got to validate it all over again, right?
Yeah. We got a couple more super chats and then I'll let you go.
No problem.
All right. We've got Stu writes, could we see a return of a 1.2 liter, 125 horsepower, 12F engine if Cowie were to make the Spark Jet Blaster a competitor? I don't see the reason why, if they're already using the 1.5 liter in a stand-up. Why would they go to a smaller motor for a bigger unit if they were to make a Spark competitor? And I just don't see Kawasaki committing to a new hull to do a Spark competitor. I mean,
maybe if get some volume with their current revamp. So my hope is this is a 5 to 10 year plan. I'm hoping in the next 2 to 3 years, maybe 2 to 5 years, Cowie starts to get some volume in. They start to get some profit in. The jet ski business of Kawasaki Motors starts to wash its face, starts to become more viable. Then they can reinvest in new models like that.
I agree. I mean, if we see sales jump up by mid to late, by second quarter, third quarter of this year, and it's going strong into 25, 26, then you might see a lot more bold moves coming out of manufacturers. If we are in a chilled market, if getting loans is tough, if credit is tough, if there's no support for dealers to give loans to people with moderate, less than favorable, credit scores, we'll see, what happens from there. All right, we got Stu writes again. R might be a 160, but with racing internals. No. What racing internals? There's no racing internals for the supercharged units. The internals from the naturally aspirated, besides the cam grinds, are the same as the supercharged units. And then we got support from David. David, thank you for the support. Guys, I think that does wrap up our super chats. So with that, I will thank Joshua for coming in and helping break this down. And Joshua has been a huge help to the Watercraft Journal over the years. So thank you for...
No, right back at you. Thank you. I mean, it's probably unusual for people to see two websites on opposite sides of the world that kind of compete with each other. I would say not. I would say you're the original and you're the biggest for a reason. So I'm just, but we both agree that the industry is too small for us not to work together whenever we can. So yeah, appreciate your support and your friendship over the years, and long may it continue.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, hopefully the idea is for you to buy this damn thing and I can retire.
You know what? You'll be the second person I call if I win lotto. Don't worry. You'll hear the screams of joy. I promise you that. We'll go on a big holiday, jet ski holiday.
Absolutely. When are you coming back to the States?
Next year. I'm going to try and get up for the reveals, the Sea-Doo and Yamaha reveals in August 25.
Oh, okay. We got to get you out sooner.
Pardon me?
I got more cars for you to go for rides in.
Okay. Oh yeah. You got the convertible.
We got more barbecue. We got more places to eat. We got all sorts. We'll pump you full of all sorts of crappy American food.
Oh no, I love it. I'll have to do a stop either at Texas, Dallas Airport, or LA so I can get an in and out fix. They're slowly working their way east. So
hey. Yeah. They bought property here in Hendersonville, Tennessee.
No.
They're going to build a store, but it's going to be like 27 or 28.
I'll get a green card in a couple of years, and we'll be testing a couple streets away from your place and in and out in between.
There will be an in and out in Rivergate, which is just down the road in Madison. I believe in mid to late 26.
Wow.
Yeah, they're buying up property
around the block. Yeah, wow.
Yeah, they're buying property all over Middle Tennessee in a heartbeat. They're going nuts.
But where was that place you took me that did the fried chicken on the pancakes with maple syrup or the?
Oh my gosh! I took him out for hot chicken and waffles, guys.
Awesome.
I took an Aussie out for hot chicken and waffles, and he sat there and he ate his chicken, and then when he finished with his chicken over here, he sat and he ate his waffle. I go, you neophyte. You got to eat the chicken with the waffle with the syrup and the butter, and it's all on one fork. And he's like, oh, I didn't know. And I'm like,
it's a good excuse to try it again properly next time, right?
Yeah. We got to get you to Mudbug. That's our number one problem.
I've heard about that whole discussion too. I got some ideas around that. I hope you guys are getting good.
We got to fly in. We'll get you on a ski. You got to go ride the bayou. Yeah,
I'd love to.
I'll hold you that. We'll get you out for spring. Spring's gonna have racing.
Okay, I'm clean. I've been listening to the podcast with you and Jerry talking about the all the legalities and permissions and trying to have some kind of systems in place. So good luck with that. It sounds like trying to herd a bunch of cats. But
that's Greg's. That's Greg's animal. Greg wants to get into racing and put on a
Greg, no mistake. Yeah.
Billy and I are going to split and go get a group of like 8 of us and go hit the trails hard.
That's me.
And everyone's going to go, where'd Billy? Kevin goes like, screw you. Woo!
I'll join that group. That sounds like me.
Yeah, everyone's going to want to try to join that group. That's the problem. Everyone wants to tag along, and then we're stuck going 20 miles an hour through a trail.
Well, we could do it the week before Mudbug, right? And then just mop up the rest later. Mop up the rest of the trails later.
Yeah, we got to get you up here for a Mudbug. I mean, I won't cover your flight. Maybe I can get Greg to cover your flight, but I might cover.
No. I'll get myself there. Don't worry.
No, you're poor. You don't have any money. We got to help you out.
We'll get there.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. I got to get you on a ski too. Crap.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
But yeah, have a great Christmas, and please look after that amazing dog of yours, the Aussie Keeler.
We're saying goodbye. We get a super chat. David writes, just got a 2024 Kawasaki STX, and during break noticed starter would spin without engaging Bendix. Only did it about 5 times. What do you think would be the remedy? Low charge.
Oh, yeah.
Lots of times a low battery charge will not fully extend the Bendix out, and it won't engage the flywheel. So make sure that your battery charge is tip top, and if not, also double check to make sure that the starter, that all the wires of the starter, everything's snug down real tight, because it is typically a low charge will result in the Bendix not fully extending into the flywheel and engaging the flywheel. Okay, good. Now we're saying goodnight.
Thank you, sir.
Have a great Christmas. Merry Christmas to all of you guys here in the chat. Thanks again for supporting the Watercraft Journal. If you haven't already subscribed to the channel, subscribe to Watercraft Zone, the YouTube channel, Watercraft Zone, and then go to watercraftzone.com / .au. Okay. All right.
Nice one.
Yeah. .au. And you might have to type it in upside down because they're on the other side of the poll. So figure out how to do that one. Guys, thanks again. Have a great night. Merry Christmas. Be safe, and we'll see you next year.